right? You were the person that asked, Trump the question that I'm sure, many people around you, not on your team, but, sort of higher ups wouldn't have wanted you to ask, which was an interesting moment in Bombshell, because I think in that they portrayed Roger Ailes as having liked that you asked Trump the question about his,
women,
sexism. But I think you've said that wasn't accurate, right?
That was not accurate. Roger did not like that question one bit, and really didn't speak to me or Brett or Chris for months after the debate. He was angry, and finally he called me in there first, because we were probably the closest of the three, and he tried to hold it in, and then he couldn't anymore, and he let me have it. I mean, he was really angry, and of course Trump had been attacking me, and so he was having to deal with that on an executive level. I understand that was stressful, but he did not like that question. And now I think we have a better idea as to why. I mean, I remember him saying, like, "What? You never know what he could say in response. What could he say in response?" And I remember thinking, nothing about me. I'm good. I've never harassed anybody. Mm-hmm. And even in that moment, I wasn't thinking, "But you're a harasser." I wasn't thinking that. I never thought about Roger that way. I write in my book, I think it's my own hubris. I always thought it was just about me. I always thought the guy took a shot at having an affair with me, didn't work out, we moved past it. And he never came close to retaliating against me. He gave me a bunch of opportunities. And if I did well, then I would advance, and I did well in the situations he put me in. So it's funny, at that point, when he's yelling at me about the Trump question, I'm not thinking, oh, of course. I'm thinking it was a fair question, Roger, and Chris Wallace backed it, and Britt Hume backed it, and Brett Baer backed it. And those guys are good journalists. I know I'm on solid ground. But to go back, I'm thinking about the word ambition. I wouldn't exactly describe myself as ambitious, though I don't think there's any problem with women or anyone copying to that. I think it's a great thing to be. But I think the reason I've been able to make choices that might curtail my ascent in certain positions or with certain people is because I have not been driven by ambition so much as by a desire to be excellent. And that, if you achieve it, tends to open other doors. And so that was my only goal was ever to do well enough that when the next opportunity came along, whatever it was, the door would be open. And then I would decide whether I wanted it or not. But I will say it's worth stopping and looking at the whole landscape each time to decide whether the next big thing works for you. And some people may be thinking I'm talking about my NBC leap. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, there was a time at Fox where I had a 2-hour show, went from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. called America Live. It was the first show I ever solo anchored. It was in the middle of the day. I got home every day by 5 o'clock. I didn't have to get up at the crack of dawn. And they were paying me well. I wasn't making as much as I made in primetime, but I was getting paid very well. When I got offered the primetime spot, for which I did not lobby, that was Roger's idea, I took it because, it didn't seem like something you turn down. That's the brass ring. That's what everybody wants in cable. And I thought, okay, well, that could work. I'm definitely going to get a big raise and I'm going to have more power. And I suppose that's just the next step and I should do it. And so many times once I took that position, I thought I didn't know how good I had it. I was well known, so that's good because that gives you a little market power, but not so well known that I become a huge target, right? And I had some ability to drive the national debate, but not so much that I was out on the thin reed that I would live the rest of my life on, or at least to date. And I had 2 hours of airtime to cover whatever I wanted, so that was fulfilling for me because that's a long time in television news. And I could see my kids. I could see my husband, I had friends, I had a reasonable schedule, which is hard to do in TV. So it is a lesson that sometimes the next rung on the ladder is no good for you. And you really have to get honest about how important power, money, position are to you before you say yes.